But I think it's live. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we like, yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think do you want to introduce the topic, Mahesh, or yeah? It's just like following on. We're just doing like one after the other, like what you would do at a workplace. Once you've done your OTB, what
Yeah.
do you do with the numbers now?
I think, so that's then you do the buying plan, right?
Yes. So because all the numbers have to translate into a quantity that is put into a purchase order, and the order is placed. Again, it could look very different with different companies, with different employers. But yeah, after you have your retail value number from the OTB, it has to translate into quantity now. So we've
Right.
mostly spoken of only values, right? This is the first time you're talking of quantity.
Yeah. This is the first
Yeah,
time you're talking about quantity.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there are like multiple ways of what is the right way to create that quantity. It could differ from buyer to buyer, um, company to company. But I can share like what I have done in the past. You can add
Yeah.
what you've done. Yeah.
Sure.
So I think usually like so once you have your quantity from the value from your OTB, that let's say let's pick a category like women's wear. Women's wear
Right.
needs to take £1 million worth of sales for spring and summer, and that's the
Yeah.
let's say that's the buying plan you're creating. So the first thing I would do is I would look for like products, similar products in the previous season or similar subcategories in the
Right.
previous season, and I would just arrive at a mix from there, a value mix and even
Yes.
a quantity mix.
Um,
So firstly,
yeah.
like I'll plug that information into my buying sheet. When you're doing your buying plan, you need a buying sheet, which will essentially
Right.
become
Yeah.
your order. So that's what I'll do. Do you have any connectivity issues? Because I saw that you're okay with the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. There is some. I think my computer has become slow,
Okay.
but that's all right. I think we
Yeah,
cannot
but
do
like there's no
much about
lag, time lag, yeah.
the. Okay.
So I think the first indication would be that I would just map the product mix. So at
Okay.
value and even at quantity. But I would use the sales mix from the value first. That
Uh-huh.
this is what it
Uh-huh.
takes, and then I will also like map both of them to see what the mix of sold quantity was. So anything that's sold in the previous spring summer season. So if we are planning for 27, then I would be looking back at 25, and I would just do the product mix. That's the first indication. And then um, from for £1 million, I will have like some quantity in mind that this is what it, if you divide it by average, you can arrive at a quantity. And then you just split it by the mix. So it gives you an indication. That's what I would put in as a starting point, and then you start building. So like for like, you will look at your rate of sales, then you will put in your number of weeks you want to sell it for. You will see what you want to end the season with. This will be similar to what you had planned as markdown on your OTB. So it will give you an indication of how much you should sell. Should the sell through be 65%? If it's a fashion piece, maybe the sell through will be a little higher because you want to like break with little inventory in the end. If it's a core product and flow into the next season, maybe you will not have a very high expectation of sell through because you don't want to like, there is no point of like selling 100%. There is never going to be that. And then
Yeah.
how many stores it's going to be distributed in. So all that information would be dumped into this buying plan. And then you start working your numbers, which is again like the buying sheet would also be built at retail. So the quantity, the essential parts of the buying plan would be the collection that you're buying into, and what is the MRP or the retail selling price that you would be selling it at. You need those are like the important bits.
Right.
And if you have to work out the retail prices on your own, then there's like more information that goes into the sheet. For example, what is the landed cost if it's coming from a certain country? You put those duties, conversion, like which currency are you paying, and then you build your retail selling price if you're also doing that part. And that's what like essentially the tool would look like. So this is the tool. But I have also seen that people do build a buying sheet which is exactly the same as your OTB sheet, but I think it's maybe more relevant for core merchandise planning where you have an opening stock and you have a planned end of a month inventory, and then you see what is on hand, if there is any markdown planned, and then it will give you a number of what needs to be ordered. So they just put those numbers right there and then they expand according to the product styles product styles.
Right. Yeah.
But I have never used that method, like the method that I've just spoken of, that I know the value and I will have an indication of, from the value you get an indication of the quantity that you will sell from the average selling retail price, and you just
Right.
split it by the mix against your subcategories, and just assign a quantity to every line product line, and then you start looking back. So it would be like a manual activity. I'm sure like it can be automated, because then you look like for like product, because a like for like product might not have the same barcode, but because you've traded the category, you know that this will sell like this. So you put your rate of sales
Right.
in. Once you have your rate of sales in and the number of weeks you want to trade it for, you multiply that. It gives you how much inventory you need. And
Right.
then
Yeah.
when you put your store assortment, it gives you how much inventory you need to at least display. So then you arrive at
Yeah.
a
That's
quantity.
very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you have the rate of sale, and then rate of sale may say that you need to have 10 pieces, but the gondola or the shelf space
Yeah.
may need minimum.
16 or 20. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Then you cannot buy less than the. It has to somewhere
Yeah.
match with the shelf
Yeah.
space also. Yeah.
True. So I think the whole concept of base stock or end of month inventory on the OTB, we said that this is our closing stock, desired closing stock. So that is what your stores will give an indication of, that this is what it is. So when you multiply your rate of sales with your weeks on floor, it gives you a number. But now you have to see, is that number enough to cover all the stores you want to send this inventory to, or do you need to buy a little extra? And if it's a
Right.
core line, you will probably see that, yeah, I am left with 500 pieces, which will sell in this period, which are coming from
Right.
autumn winter the previous year and flowing into this season. So those are the main indicators that you would put in. Like once you understand all these tiny concepts that we've spoken of, all of this makes sense. It makes like mathematical and logical
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
So what I hear is that first you do a top down where you see the projected sales, and then you kind of calculate the number, and then there is a bottom up from the store. What is the store capacity, and then how much, and then you match both the numbers so that we have the top down to the quantity, and the bottom up from the store to the quantity also matches.
Yeah. And then you see that, so when you put your sales mix into it, that this is the quantity I've sold, then it gives you an indication of that. If you sold 1,000 pieces of a t-shirt, black t-shirt, are you going to sell the exact same quantity? You will see that there will be certain jumps. You will see what's happening to the season on the OTB when you compare it with previous spring summer. So is there, when you forecasted your numbers, is there a 20% jump, and is that 20% reflective in all my categories? So that's how you build. Like there are different ways of looking at your numbers,
Right.
but at the end, when you roll up your numbers, once you've put the quantity in and multiplied it by your retail selling price, you get the value. Then you match the value with the OTB value. So
But
there
what
is a
I
little tweaking and all. Yeah. Yeah.
But what I see now is that if you're using AI and some computational power, all of this, like you don't have to do this manual top down to a bottom up. I think AI will be able to pretty much
Yeah.
benchmark past
Yeah.
season what the style, and then it can understand styles and what happened, and it can also check this if you upload a picture. This is
Yeah.
more of kind of benchmarking with the past, and trying to match a bottom top down from the top lines and then a bottom up from the quantity where the stocking capacity or the base stock calculation, right? So I think this can be, but it's a lot of
Yeah.
manual work. I remember that there were a lot of incidences that I've heard that people just do 1 2 2 1 because they cannot, right? You don't know it
That comes, yeah. You're talking about the ratio, right?
ratio. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this comes after the quantity. Once you forecasted that I'm taking 1,000
Yes.
pieces, now you
Yeah.
need to tell what the 1,000 pieces look like in
Correct.
ratios. So you're
Yeah.
saying that mostly it was one two
So
two one.
what people do is people skip this step and then they
Yeah.
just directly go and do a 2 4 4 2, and then whatever number
Yeah.
that comes,
Yeah.
then you just kind of match,
Yeah. Yeah.
do a shortcut. I
I
think
think
if
maybe the
AI,
ratio analysis is probably the first thing that AI can pick up, because once you feed in that, apply the same ratio, and I think there are systems, like I've seen certain systems which do that, but it would never throw the right results. So we always had to manually override it.
override it.
So yeah, but when you're building your buying plan, sometimes you might have the intelligence that though the barcode of the two product lines doesn't read the same, we still expect the sales to look something similar to this. It's probably replacing that old style. I don't know if AI would be able to, AI won't be able to pick on those, unless it's fed into the system that,
Yeah, yeah.
because not every style is going to be like for like.
But if it's going to be there for a, if it has a history of data of the old style picture and the new style picture, right now AI can compare. They can
Okay.
compare
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
style,
I think it
match.
will, yeah, it will take like a little training and then get there.
Yes, yes, it
So it will
needs
have the same intelligence that, okay, so if we don't have the same product style for previous season, what is the next closest style that you should pick up the rate of sales for? Yeah. Yeah, I think, but yeah, I've seen systems do ratios. I have seen systems also do. Another thing that we haven't spoken of is allocation, which is like a very, um, it used to be a very manual activity again, like done all on Excel. I've again seen systems do that.
Mm.
And I think for FMCG, I don't, it is all automatic replenishments and allocations. So when
Right.
you're putting your purchase order into the system, I think you just say that these are the stores it needs to go to. That's all you would put in, and then it would just send. But you could maybe
Yeah.
tweak. Did they need like replenishments every alternate day, every day, or just once a week? That you could play with. But the systems are pretty much doing the replenishments. But all this used to be very manual, and
Yeah.
I
This
don't
would,
know.
yeah. I think with the current LLM, the current AI advancement, it can do all of this. It
Yeah,
can.
yeah, I'm sure. I think the
Mm.
number part of it, it can. Um, it's just these concepts that it has to like learn, which we have learned on the job. We've seen different retailers, needs could be different, data could be limited. Not everything has always looked 100%. So as long as like AI is able to fill those gaps at some point, because then yes, lots of times you're extrapolating. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You know
It's
more
yeah.
about AI, like I do not know, but like I have always thought that this part can be taken over
Yeah, it can be
for
taken over. Yeah,
sure.
it will, because it's all manual computation and more like matching the strategy. The strategy is already done. Then we are just trying to get all of these factors come to an harmony. It's more
Yeah,
harmonizing kind of a work than like more of a strategy kind of a work.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, correct. So and there would be like lots of checks. So I think so as a merchandiser, if you're not if you're not taking care of the category, but the sign offs finally happen later. Like before it goes into the system, there's somebody checking the numbers that do they look right, or does a like do you need to make a tweak onto like, but like most of it has always been quite manual, like just punching
Yeah.
numbers onto the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So um, what do you call that? The size-wise breakup also happens in the buying plans.
So when you're doing your buying plan, one would be your OTB to know what you're buying and what your requirement is that you're fulfilling. That is a key number to know. Then, like I said, you need to know the whole collection and the MRPs that need to be ready. And on the other hand, your ratios have to be ready,
Right. Right.
because
Makes
any
sense.
changes in the ratios, because maybe in spring summer 25, if you're doing a plan for 27, into
Yeah.
spring summer 25, you might have not had the representation of all sizes. Maybe you're buying into additional sizes this time, or maybe you've let go of certain sizes in the current season 26. um
Right.
so so all that has to be done, yeah, before you put your orders in. Once you have your buying plan and your ratios, then you upload your purchase order. Then you know exactly what you're buying against every SKU. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So I think that that's pretty much it. Those are the kinds of information. Yeah, but it would just be a very manual process, and it was known that anybody um, who's doing a buying plan needs a lot of time to do all this work because it was so manual. So after a point, it was just manual work. You just knew where to get your numbers from, and then, like I said, you're just punching away on the
Yeah.
system. Yeah.
So what else is there in the buying plans, Nitya? What else
So
is in?
see, so like I said, you have from your trading, how well you're trading right now will give you an idea of the rate of sales. So you can look at previous seasons, but if you also have like the trends for this current season, then you can look at all those indicators that we spoke of, like your rate of sales, what's the sell through looking like, how long did you keep the product on floor? Do you need to give it more shelf life now going forward when you introduce a new color? And the other thing was just understanding the distribution, your stores. If there are any new stores coming up, what would their requirements look like? So that kind of input, which maybe in a retailer might not sit with buying and merchandising, it would be like stores and projects. So, all that information, you need like certain information to make your plan. And that is also like one of it. Knowing that we are closing down the store, so you don't have to plan numbers for it. Or you're going to open two flagship stores which have to have good representation of everything, or at least the fashion exclusive lines. So that also information is required. So once you have like that full bucket of information, then you put this together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because closing of the store also needs like a set of actions and considerations. And opening a new store, and if it's a A plus store, also there are other factors that you would have invited a guest, and you better have the best representation of the brand, right?
Yeah.
Like so, and then people would come. I mean, the guests would want to buy because you've invited them for the
Yeah.
ceremony and all that. So yeah, so those also one has to make consideration and make sure that
Yeah.
the opening of the store does well. Those
Yeah.
also, I think, where like sometimes were kept on like in most urgent, important kind of a work while while allocating and allocating the stock. And
Mhm.
allocation of the stock also comes under the buying plan, right? It's
I think once you determine that this is your distribution, these are the stores it goes to, then allocation is the next step. Like after this,
okay.
you need a purchase order that needs to go out, uh, or uploaded into a system, however it's maintained. But yeah, so I think yes, making your buying plan. I think another key input would be the marketing. What was the marketing plan looking like? What would be the windows? So at least in brick and mortar, we knew, and I'm sure it's the same for websites as well. That every month when you refresh your collection, these are the styles that go into the window. flagship store needs to have like 10 options, whereas a smaller store will only carry 3 options, but they need to have that for the window, vinyls, and advertising and in store promotions. So we would also get that information usually during the buying plan that these are the key styles and we must buy them. So these are like,
Yeah.
and there would be an indication of that these are for flagship stores and these are like a good retailer would provide that information to you, or marketing would tell you that there's an advert that is being created for a new product line that we are launching. So you must buy. So some of your allocated value goes into those, the marketing plan, the brand plan. Yeah.
The other thing is that I think we discussed about this before, that the buying plan also has to be given to the operations, the supply chain team, the logistics team, because they need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
they need to be
Yeah.
prepared for the warehouse planning, and they need to know
Yeah.
how much quantity or what's the volume that they're going to handle with the
Yeah.
buying plans. They better, so then they might would want to talk to you that how the orders can come in and go out. I think we talked
Yeah.
about this before,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that conversation happens at this stage, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think for some of the brands, I have seen that when you're doing your buying, when you're looking at the collection, creating your OTB, sometimes the team would be called supply chain. Like the people from that would also be a part of it. So they would be in sync with whatever was going on. So when you're like writing off when you're agreeing to your OTB number, it has already been sense checked by all the other teams. Like ideally that's how it would be. And then once you've shortlisted your collection, you would share it with, of course, the supply chain team that has to plan it for the inventory and space and everything logistically, in the warehouse, and even like movement of inventory. But closer to the launch of season, we would share the information with the store teams. It has to be uploaded. Again, these are very system generated thing that it had to be uploaded onto the store system on the till. Your
Mm-hmm.
entire collection has to reflect on their system. Only then they can sell it, and they
That's
have
true.
to prepare the store for a newer collection. So it needs to. So the older inventory should have been liquidated. So then there are like different, um, maybe like functional requirements. So once you've shortlisted your collection, then we would not tell them the quantity, but we would share the collection. We would also have like certain retailers would have a proper conference to show the collection to the rest of the team, that this is what
That's
we've bought, this is what's arriving, this is how you're supposed to sell it. And then they would get inputs from technical people, that these are the benefits. So they knew like what are the key selling factors on every new product line being introduced. Or so yeah, I mean that all becomes a part of like trading or sales, and more of, um yeah, when you are in that season, the trading period. Yeah, for that also I think it's required.
right.
Yeah. So it's like a little wheel that keeps moving, and this is you just like put some processes in, and this is like one of the process that you're saying, that logistic is a part of it, the store team is a part of it. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
And I think the tricky part would be, so if you had lines where you had similar products in previous seasons, then arriving at a number is easy. But the main decision would be when you're introducing completely something completely new, that what kind of quantities do you project for that line? How many stores do you send it to? So that also comes with understanding of your business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to think of some product category which I can't remember right now. Um, so if you're introducing, like if you already sell sweaters store, in your stores, and then you think that, oh, it also rains, maybe I should get like rain jackets. but you have like nothing similar to look back at. Sweaters are serving a different purpose. Rain jackets do a different thing. Then the research needs to be a little deeper, understanding the external factors of where your stores are, how's the
Correct.
weather looking like you mentioned that in Dubai or in
Yeah, in the
over
Middle
there
East, yeah, they
you
will
would have like
like around.
your
Yeah.
you would have the temperature mentioned on your buying sheets, I think, or allocation sheets.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Because they had 10 degrees difference in the Middle East GCC countries itself.
yeah, yeah,
So it's always, yeah,
yeah,
even for your buying plan and also um, for the allocation also,
yeah,
whether it makes sense or not, to actually see everyday's temperature was made sense.
yeah. So in this case, you would also look at the MRP. So if you don't have a similar product, but it is in Indian rupees, like if it's retailing, it's a high value product, like a jacket, which is like 4,999. I'm just like making it up. 4,999. Now it's a expensive product. Now your questions would become to come to the quantity would be, are you sending it to all stores firstly? If not, where are you sending it? Then you can actually compare it with a similarly priced product and see what the rate of sales of
Yeah,
that product were. So there are like different ways to see it too. And then yeah, if there is a requirement and you feel that yeah, this people are not going to care about the price point, they're not going to be so sensitive about it, and we need to order a little more than, even though you've sold a certain value and you didn't sell too many units, but you feel that this there is a actual need, there is a gap in the market, you might maybe make a
right.
decision of buying deeply in it. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
those are the questions. So I think like maybe AI also will build with time, once you start putting that information into the
These
system.
nuances, I don't think so. The AI will understand these nuances. But
Yeah.
what I said,
Look,
I was telling is that if you're doing a black t-shirt and then the past season, you know that black t-shirt, but the silhouette or the print has changed. But so you know that your
yeah,
customer black t-shirt, what is the sale? So in those sense, yeah, the AI can do. But then if you're introducing like a jacket with a different price point, then there are other nuances that is this price sensitive to the market? Is there a need,
yeah,
or is it like really fashionable right now that everybody wants to have a piece of it, and there are loyal customers who are looking at your brand that they're waiting for that jacket to come so that they can buy. So those nuances, AI cannot do it right
yeah,
now, in the current
yeah.
state of situation. But then AI can do same category to category,
Yeah.
color to color,
Something
yeah,
core.
trouser to trouser. So yeah,
Yeah.
before it was mid-race, now it's like slightly low race, and then it's the same jeans. This is going to be on the middle of the road jeans. So a little bit of a change in the silhouette, but you know that this is last season and this is this season. It can match to some extent and come up to conclusions.
Yeah. So I
But
think
if there is a
maybe,
nuance,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe like a core product line, which you just have to blindly order. You just like put an uplift percent into it, and there's a black T-shirt that you keep ordering every single season, and it just sells volumes. You can just assign it to AI that put an order in, and you can trust it.
Yes.
But I think there is
Yeah.
some all this buying sense is developed over time, because I think even like me when I started, I could understand the logic behind it, but the decision making for certain things,
Yeah,
it
correct.
just develops with
Yeah,
the more with experience. I think it's like,
that's true.
what is the term called? Learning on the job. Not It's not very theoretical or just logical. It's seeing it from
Yeah.
different aspects. Yeah,
Yes, that's true.
yeah,
And it's a nuance, it's an art also more than a science, because you're introducing something which you do not have any logical basis.
hmm,
But yeah, it comes under, I think, eye to fashion. That's where sometimes buying is both art and a science.
Yeah.
because it's over a period of time you get that sense, like you said, right? Like there was a buyer who, when she was there, then the department did really well, and when she left, then you could actually see, because what went missing was the art part of
Yeah.
the pitching the category
Yeah.
by the person, which
Yeah.
which comes over time, yeah, which comes over time.
Yeah. And once you've decided your quantities, maybe like, and you're happy with your ratios, once you've looked at both, then maybe you can assign it to a system. Because I've seen
Yeah.
systems which would give you the ratio and it would break down. All you had to do was input your quantities, but it always needed some tweaking. So it always needed that human intervention. So I think that has already existed. But like I said, allocation, I think, is the first thing that has been automated, at least with FMCG, where you have so many lines that you carry. You can't be, it's not humanly possible to allocate every single line manually. It exists. So, yeah, there's scope. But yeah, there's also human intervention for now, I think, at least needed.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I think I have like
Yeah.
added whatever I can think of for the buying plan. Yeah. Yeah. I can't think of anything else.
I think that's about it. I think we talked about almost about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll come up with another topic next time.
Yes.
I suppose. Yes.
All right.
Okay. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye bye.